So here on IntellectualRadio.com, and I'm your host, Dr. Anthony L. Gantt, here for another show on, again, on IntellectualRadio.com. We are an iHeart station. We are the station that feeds your brain. Anywhere that you get your podcast, you can catch us from Sunday through Saturday, morning, afternoon, evening, have shows throughout the day, every day of the week. So you definitely want to get in contact with us. Well, what I'd like you to do is hit the subscribe button there, and then also hit the bell so you can be notified of all the shows that we do have here at IntellectualRadio.com. We have comedy shows and spiritual shows, health shows, educational shows, political shows. You name it, we have it over here. So please take a look and subscribe. And I'm sure it's about 5 or 10 shows you probably want to look at on a weekly basis. Make it part of your routine of getting good information from a diversity in regards to shows, topics, and also hosts. A lot of great hosts. So again, this is the Great Business Skills Show, and we talk about business skills and how to improve your business skills. So um, each series we have going on is something to do with business or can help you with your business skills. But before we get started, I'm going to promote someone for the show. And if you want to be promoted on any of my shows, this one here or a Greater You show, you can get in touch with me at fullofpurposemedia@gmail.com. That's fullofpurposemedia@gmail.com. So the person I am promoting today is Mr. Emmett Farmer. And are you 65 and older or know someone who is in need of Medicare assistance? Mr. Emmett Farmer is a licensed life and health insurance producer and an independent insurance broker, and he can be reached at 773-908-9425 or efarmer2, the number 2, at ameritech.net. Mr. Emmett Farmer specializes in Medicare plans for seniors 65 and older. Also, if you are disabled and have Medicare, he can help you as well. He is licensed again in the states of Illinois, Texas, and in the process of being licensed in many other states across the country. If you are 65 and older, and if you will become 65 within the next 6 to 12 months, you can please contact Mr. Emmett Farmer to learn more about your available options. Again, for more information, contact Mr. Emmett Farmer at 773-908-9425. That's 773-908-9425 or efarmer2, EFARMER, the number 2, efarmer2 at ameritech.net. You will also get a free consultation by mentioning that you have heard about Mr. Emmett Farmer and his business here on the Great Business Skills Show, here on IntellectualRadio.com, the station that feeds your brain, and iHeart Station, and with the host here, Dr. Anthony L. Gantt. So let's get into our program today and our session. We're in a new series today, so we have this is session 1, and the series that we're going to talk about today is how to be a better public speaker. Again, how to be a better public speaker, part 1. So this is what we're into this time, and obviously this is a business skill I think you should have. And for those who may be new to me and new to IntellectualRadio.com, every time we do a series, whatever the series is on, we also have an accompanied book with that, and there's a book that I've written in regards to that topic. So I teach out the book throughout the series so that you can get something out of the book. Obviously, if you want to purchase the book, you definitely can at fullofpurposemedia@gmail.com. And I will make sure when you purchase the book, I also sign the book as well. So again, we're talking about public speaking, and public speaking is a topic that a lot of people have a lot of fear of. Now, I don't take surveys, but for many, many years, there's been surveys written and saying that public speaking is like one of the top fears for most people, not just in one country, but across the globe. Again, I don't know how true that is because I didn't do the survey myself. So, but I have been doing this for a while, and I know people have a fear in speaking in public. So just to give you a background on this topic, every topic that I speak on and teach on or write about, I've actually done or still do to some capacity. So I have been speaking in front of people at this time well over 30 years. So I've spoken to smaller groups, I've spoken to large groups, auditoriums, you name it. I have spoken to, well over a couple of thousand audiences, much many more than that. So I have learned some things. And one thing that I have learned is that Great speakers aren't born great; they're made great, right? And am. I don't go out and try to say that I am a great speaker. I do think I'm pretty good at it, but I learned how to be good at it. I learned how to be great at it over a period of time. So I didn't come out, pop out, and now some people they just gifted. I mean, they popped out the womb, man. These people are like on fire, man. They just gifted. Like you have a gifted singer. Some people just can sing. They come out the womb, they can sing. They're gifted. Some people are gifted artists. They can draw something. They don't go to art school, but they just good at it. But every person that draws well or a great artist, uh, they don't really have to gift. A lot of them learn how to get good at something. All the singers, some of the people you may call great singers, had to learn how to be great singers, great dancers, great athletes, right? They had to learn how to do that. And the same thing with public speaking. You have to learn how to get good at public speaking so you can become great at public speaking. And sometimes because the fear is so heavy and so strong, a lot of times people get fearful, and it's understandable. Does your hands get sweaty, and your palms and all that get sweaty. Your knees start to buckle, and you start sweating profusely from head to toe. You're nervous. Right. You don't want to speak in front of people. Well, usually, when someone say you have to speak in front of someone, or it's time for me to speak in front of someone, really the first word that come to our mind sometimes is help. Help. And some of us, we like to add some words. We say, help me, right? Help me, because they want me to stand in front of all those people and speak on whatever I'm going to speak about. And the name of this book obviously is titled All Eyes on Me, because when you are speaking in front of people in an audience, all eyes in the audience is on the person that's speaking in front of the audience. And so all eyes and all ears is on you. Now, there's a little difference, even though I'm doing public speaking to a certain degree here, speaking to you and sharing information with you. I'm doing public speaking here. However, it's a little bit different because I'm doing this camera to camera, right? Compared to doing it in front of people, and because you have eyes looking at you. Now I know I have eyes looking at me because it's a camera, but I don't see the eyes looking at me. I just see the camera right now, right? But when you stand in front of people, you can see people looking at you. Some people look at you nice, like, "Ooh, I'm so happy you up there speaking." Some people looking at you like, "Man, why you up there speaking?" Right? So you have to get used to that. This is what people get afraid of, obviously making mistakes and things of that nature. So we're gonna go over a few things. This is all of my shows, pretty much what is in the business shows. There is a business class, a business session, and a business book club, all right wrapped into one. So it's like a business coaching. Now, here's one reason why, as a business person, you need to get better at speaking in front of people, because you may get the opportunity to speak in front of people about your business or about your product or services that you may have. And if you can do a better job at speaking in front of people about what you have to offer, then you can actually end up getting more business and getting you to open up some more doors for you because of your skill set in speaking in public. Now, see, some people think that speaking in public is the person that's loud, jumping all around, everything on stage, doing flips, moonwalking, all that stuff, right? So a person see that guy or that lady and say, "Whoa, I like what they're doing. I love them, but I can't do all that," right? Then you have this other extreme where the person is so plastic and so methodical, they move like a robot, right? On stage. And they may be good at it, but then some people say, man, they really are good at it. They're very methodical. They walk across the stage one leg at a time, right? They're real good. Well, what unfortunately people see people like that think that they have to be those type of people, right? Now, me speaking to you here on this show is again a little bit different than speaking in front of people live. You know, uh, live people looking dead at you. On a show like this, my pace is a little bit faster because obviously I'm like on radio podcast and we don't like a lot of dead air, right? So my pauses are very short. Can't be pausing on here for like 10 seconds on the radio. People are like, hey, what's going on? Right? Now you can pause for 4 or 5 seconds when you live because it can make more points. And we'll get into more of those things as we go along. So the name of this, when you think of a fear that people have, eventually it won't take long before a medical condition is stamped on it to say what it is, right? You walk to the left, they call it the left, some medication, right? Uh, and the same thing with speaking in public. So here is what it's called. It's called, the fear is called glossophobia. And glossophobia is the fear of public speaking. But really, let's break it down a little bit. Because I like to break down words so we can kind of have a better understanding of what we're dealing with. Glosso in the Greek means tongue, right? And phobia means fear. Now, it doesn't mean that you have a fear of the tongue or anything like that, but you use your tongue to speak, right? So when you have a fear, a glossophobia is having a fear or dreading. That's what phobia is. Anytime you see phobia, it's a fear or dread, right? So people dread being the person that stand in front of people speaking, and they dread or fear being the person where all eyes are on them. Now, as a business person, this is why you have to get good at this. Because now, as time go on with technology, it gets more advanced. You may be doing a lot of virtual speaking engagements where you can see the audience and it's virtual. Same way you would do if you seen the audience if you were at a live event. The things would still be the same. Well, if that's the case, what ends up happening is that you have to look at the fact that you have to get better at conveying what you're trying to say to other people. So you can't have the fear of speaking in front of people and let it dominate you because your products and services are important and your business is important, right? You don't have to be the most uh, charismatic person in the room, and you don't have to have all this type of charisma and be all excited. Because I know people that they'll jump on tables when they speak in public, right? They'll do a flip, do a cartwheel, jump jack, and all type of stuff, right? Now that's not my style. That's not what I do, right? So this is one thing you must realize is that you must be yourself when you're speaking in front of people. The more comfortable you are at being you, the better you will convey what you're trying to do and the better you'll speak in public because you're being yourself. The problem a lot of people have when they're speaking in front of people is that they're trying to be someone else other than themselves. So, one thing that I always share with people and even do myself, I always have this mentality is what you see is what you get. I'm not trying to be somebody else. I'm just trying to be me, right? So my style is a little bit different than someone else's style. I'm not trying to be this person. I'm just trying to be me. And the better I'm more comfortable at being me, I know how to be me better than I know how to be anybody else. So that would come across when you're speaking in front of people. Then it shows that you are authentic. And when you're authentic, more people can actually hear you and listen to you and actually can't wait to hear what you have to say. Now, one thing that a lot of us have a problem with when we speak in front of people, we're so nervous. That's why we're sweating and might be a little jittery. So again, I share with you, I've been doing this for over 30 years, right? And every time I speak in front of people, even when I do this show, there's a sense of nervousness for me, right? So I have, someone say, hey, I need you to speak to this group of people that we have. I have before I go on, there's a little nervousness before I go on, right? Now, all nervousness actually does, what it's really saying is that you want to do a good job. That's all it says. And guess what? You should want to do a good job if you're speaking in front of people. When I come and do this show, I want to do a good job speaking to you, right? If I'm speaking to people live and hundreds or thousands of people in the audience, I still have the same mentality. I want to do a good job when I speak to them. If I have 5 people in the audience, I still want to do a good job when I speak to them. Well, just because you have nervousness, don't think there's something wrong with you because you may be a little nervous speaking in public. It's only natural. It happens to people that have done this for 30 years. Now, some people say, I'm never nervous. Hey, okay, whatever, man. That's cool with me, right? I'm just sharing with you my recipe that there's a little nervousness every time before I come on air. There's a little nervousness every time I step in front of people and do something, whether I do something virtually or do something live. There's a little nervousness, but I know that's just a sign that I want to actually do a good job. And then when you go forward, you'll do a good job. Because something you must understand when you are speaking in front of people, uh-oh, I got that upside down. When you speak in front of people, one thing that you want to understand is that you are the crowd or the audience is interested in you doing a good job. When you fear something, some people act like when they go out and speak in front of people that people are going to beat me up or something. Like all those people in the audience, they're going to get me. And here's the reality: most people won't. They don't have anything against you. Now, if you're talking about them real bad and talking about their mom and all that stuff, now hey, beware, you might get beat up, right? But in most instances, the people in the audience want you to win. The people in the audience want you to do a good job while you're there. And see, once you understand that you really have people that may not know you, but they're rooting for you while you up there on stage, right? They're rooting for you and hopefully that you speak well and speak better because of the fact that they want to get whatever you're saying to them, they want to actually get it from you. Now, once you understand things like that, you can say, okay, now I can get past glossophobia because there's some people that actually take medication because of their nervousness and anxiety and speaking in front of people. Sometimes they have to take medication before they go speak. Now, uh, I don't take medication and everything. That's not what I do. But I learned some skill sets to help me speak effectively in front of people, and I get better with it over time. And you will too. You can be a great speaker and a good speaker and all those good things, just like the next person you see up there. But one of the first rules that I always share with people: just be yourself. Just be you. Now, if you don't know who you are, then you may have a problem standing in front of people, right? And this is what hurts people. This is why they can't transition and be in different circles, right? This is why they only good in their little circle, right? Because they know how to do their church thing, but they don't know how to do their people thing. See, they know how to do their business thing, but they don't know how to do their people thing. They know how to do their gender thing, but they don't know how to do their people thing. They know how to do their age group thing, but they don't know how to do their people thing. Because see, what you're doing, you're speaking to people. And once you understand that you're speaking to people, because if I asked you, could you speak whatever it is you're talking about, 5, 10, 20 minutes, or whatever, could you tell that to one person one on one? Most people say, yes, I can do that. I can talk to one person one on one about actually, whatever I'm talking about, right? Just say, for instance, your topic is money. And I said, can you talk to people one on one about money? You say, oh, yeah, I can do that. Well, how about can you talk to one on one to 50 people one on one? This person about money, then the next 20 minutes talk to this person about money. Can you do that? And the person will say, yes, I can do that. Well, see, this is what public speaking really is. It's saying, it's getting 50 people together, 100, 200, 5,000, and putting them all together and saying the same thing to one time to 50 people, to 100 people. And the same thing, instead of you doing one by one by one, you're doing one by 50, one by 100, one by 500, one by 1,000. So you're still doing one to one because the people that's listening to you are listening to you one person at a time. Even though it's 50 of them in the audience or 500 in the audience, they're still listening to you one person at a time, just like if you were speaking to them one on one. So it's no different. And once you understand that person, even though it's 500 people here, that they all listen to me one person at a time. Yeah, it's 500 pair of eyes looking at you at the same time, but that means it's only 500 people listening to you personally. And that's how you have to look at it. Yeah, they're taller, shorter, lighter, darker, male, female. All these things do apply, but they still people. And when you look at it that way, for me, it helped me actually speak better in front of people when I just looked at them as people. That's it. They're people. And what I have to say, I mean, they want to hear it. Now, they may say after I say it that, oh, man, I don't like what that guy said. Right? They may say that. Or they may say, oh, well, what that guy said, I mean, I like what he said. So when you're speaking in public, here's what you want to do. And here's what I want to teach you over the next few lessons in regards to this topic. Is that you want to be an effective speaker and you want to make a positive impact in the lives of the people that hear you and see you. So when you're speaking, you must keep those two things in context. You want to be effective and you want to make a positive impact in their lives. See, so you want to make sure those two things are pretty much the forefront of what you have going on. I want to be positive because anybody can be a negative speaker. Anybody can scare you to death, right? Anybody can say, "Man, the sky's falling, run!" Right? Anybody can do that. That doesn't take a skill set to do that to scare people, right? But to make a positive impact, it's not. It doesn't take much to talk about something negative either. All this happened, and the world is falling, the sky's falling. That doesn't take a skill set to do. But when you want to make a positive impact in the lives of people, then you have to become effective, and you have to focus on doing something positive, right, and making it a positive impact. Because here's the reality, right? It's so much going on all the time in life. 10 years ago, something was going on. 10 years from now, something's going to be going on. And today something's going on. It's just the way life is, right? So people have one thing that's consistent is that there's a lot of things that's negative that's happening all the time. But at the same time, there's a lot of positive things that can happen. And even though negative things are happening, you can actually share some positive information with people to help them get through a negative time, right? And if things are really going good, you can still share some positive things with people to help them getting better in a positive time. So you have to understand that those are some things you want to do for yourself and for the people that's listening to you, right? So we understand that we have to be ourselves. Number one thing. And first, again, you must you must realize that you're adding something to what you're saying. Uh, and what you're saying should be adding something to the people that's listening. Now you want to add something again, positive. We're not trying to add more negative to a person's life. That's not what we're trying to do when we're speaking to people. We're trying to add something more positive to a person's life, right? Now we don't know where people are in life. We don't know if people are, you know, up here, down there. We don't have an idea. We don't know if people want to quit today. This is the last day they're gonna try, or we don't know if this is the first day they got into the game, so to speak. They want to do something with their life. We have no idea. So when you think of it that way, and a lot of times people say, well, that's only for people that want to be a quote unquote speaker, a motivational speaker, and all that stuff. That's not what this is about. You can actually, when you speak at your company or your job and you're trying to show them statistics and what the company is doing, you are speaking in front of people. You are speaking in public because the public is people. That's all it is, right? So if you at your job and you doing a presentation at your job or in your company about something, you are public speaking, right? If you're doing something at your chamber of commerce or at your church and you're trying to actually share something with people in a public setting, you are public speaking. That's what you're doing. And if you're public speaking, you are a public speaker. And it's okay to be a public speaker. This is why I want you to understand it's okay to be you. And even though you may have seen some other people doing some things as a public speaker, like I say, dancing and moonwalking and doing flips and everything, splits and everything, and singing and doing all these different things, that may be their style. And that's okay. If it's not your style, don't worry about it. You don't have to try to do that. Just bring you to the stage, bring you to the mic, and just then share you with the people that see you and hear you. That's all you're doing. And if people say, well, I don't like how they do it, they don't flip and they don't moonwalk and everything. They don't do all that different stuff, and they're not loud and be yelling and everything. Hey, you know what? That's okay. That's the people they like. They like yellers. They like people that's gonna dance and sing. So when you're doing a lot of things in a positive space, you must realize that, and many times you are in an educational setting, right? So you're not in an entertaining setting. Nothing wrong with being entertaining, but usually when you're speaking in front of people about your business, you're not really there entertaining, right? You're there to show them about your product and or your service. That your service does this, your product does that. This is what you can do for them. So you're doing all these different things. So one thing you must understand in all public speaking scenarios, this is with your business or just whatever you want to do, you are in the business of trying to persuade people to do something. Now that's where people get a little nervous. Persuade, whoa, 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 man. I'm not trying to convince nobody to do nothing. What people do is their thing. The reality is, everyone that speaks in public is in the process of trying to persuade someone to do something and dissuade them from doing something else. Let me give you an example. Suppose you are talking about health, right? And you're talking about it's good to exercise, right? So that's what you're speaking on. So when you start doing your presentation and you saying, hey, it's good to exercise, it's good to run around the block, and it's good to do cardio and all these things. You're trying to persuade people to take better care of their health. And you're trying to dissuade them from not being healthy. Or you're trying to, dissuade them from, sitting on the couch all day, drinking beer and just eating hot dogs, right? You're trying to say, hey, it's good to get up and exercise and lose 5 pounds every year. So you're trying to persuade something. I'm trying to persuade you to get better at public speaking. And I'm trying to dissuade you at not being good at it, right? So this is what we're doing all the time in a public speaking setting. And a lot of times people don't want to accept that it's being true. If you're talking to some young children that's 15 years old and they're young people and you're trying to tell them how they should go to college or do something with their life, right? And you're trying to speak with them. You're trying to persuade them to start thinking about their future and do the right thing in their life, right? Now you're trying to dissuade them from saying, I'm not going to do anything in my life. I'm going to drop out of school. So you're trying to dissuade them from dropping out, right? Or persuade them to actually stay in school and go to college, go to military, whatever they want to do, right? So this is what you're doing all the time. The moment you accept that, you'll feel okay with it. Now you're not trying to convince me like I better do it. I better go to college, or I better start saving $5, or I better start eating more vegetables. You're not trying to make me do it. You're trying to persuade me into doing it because of what you're sharing with me, right? And we'll get into more of that as the series go on, how you put those things and structure those things together. So when you're in front of people, one thing you realize is that you are there to make sure you don't waste people time, right? And it's been countless times I've sat in front of people, and I know they didn't really care about my time because my time was valuable to me. And see, people are giving you something that you can never get them in return. They're giving you their time. You're listening and looking at me right now. I can't give you this time back. There's nothing I can do to give you 8 to 9 o'clock back ever again, right? Yeah, you may have another 500 8 to 9s, another 1,000 8 to 9s. You may have a whole lot of 8 to 9s, but this 8 to 9, I cannot give it back to you, right? So when you're speaking to people in public, you want to do the best you can to make sure that they can get a lot of value for what they gave you, which is invaluable. They gave you time you can't get back. You got to give them something that's so valuable that they say, hey, you know what? That was worth my time. Unfortunately, when we think that we don't understand how valuable that is, then we go out there in front of people and we waste their time. We waste that time between 2 and 2:30 or whatever time we're speaking, right? Even whether it's virtually or if it's live in front of people, we waste that time. We spend so much time just wasting time and not talking about anything of any value, so that people can't walk away and say that was worth my time. I'm glad I gave up that hour for that. I'm glad I gave up that 3 hours for that or that 5 hours. So when you get there and you want to do flips and all that moonwalk and do splits and sing and dance and do all the stuff you want to do in an educational setting, talking about your business, what you have just did, you just trash their time. So when you look at waste, anything that's waste, like you say, hey, throw that in, some people say in the waste paper basket, right? Or the waste is trash, it's garbage. When you come up in front of people and you don't value their time, what you're saying is that the time they're giving you is garbage. You know what I'm saying? I don't care about your time. It's garbage. That's what you're saying when you come out there and you're going to waste the time of the people that actually are listening to you and watching you, or all eyes are on you. You saying that your time is not that valuable. So I'm going to waste it for you. Now, again, you can't give it back. It's not like I'm going to waste your hour. I'm going to give you another hour back. They cannot get that back again. So you must take into account that you are doing something very, very important. I'm sorry. The foundational lesson for this lesson here is lesson 1 out of the book. So uh, this is why you have to realize that I'm not going to waste your time while I speak to you in front of people. So when I come out and do this show, for instance, I am taking the time. I know that what I'm going to talk about and what areas I'm going to talk about, and I try to maximize the time by doing everything I need to do to make sure I make the time that you have or that I have, you and I have together, that I make it valuable. See, because if you can make the time valuable, maybe people, especially with something like this, it's a recorded program too, right? Meaning that if I make it more valuable, maybe you'll look at it twice. Maybe if I make it more valuable, you'll share it with somebody else. You'll tell somebody else. Maybe you'll take notes because I made it worth your time. Well, when you go out and speak in front of people in business, you want to do the same thing. When they see, speaking in public speaking is different than giving a pitch. Giving a 30-second pitch is wonderful. That's not what I'm referring to about speaking in public. When you speaking in public, you actually got some time. You have a block of time. Not maybe 15 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, maybe an hour, it may be 2 hours, right? It may be a length of time, but it's more than 30 seconds. So you're not just trying to, dazzle people when you're speaking in public, because people know that this is more than 30 seconds. Now, if you're just trying to share with me some pitch, so to speak, and it's a 30-second, you got to get it all down to 30 seconds and sound all dazzling and everything. Well, it is what it is. But when you're speaking in front of people to an audience, I don't want you to think about dazzling anyone, but I do want you to think about making it worth their time to every person that you are involved with and all the people that you're dealing with. Now, when you understand that, a lot of times people kind of confuse what is a public speaker. And if you don't know what a public speaker is and what it isn't, then you might get confused. And then you'll say something like, you would think all public speakers are people with the gift of gab, right? Oh, someone said, oh, that person has the gift of gab. That's why they're good at public speaking. Now, I'm not really a fan of the gift of gab, right? Because really what the gift of gab is saying that you just like to talk. But I know some people don't have a definition of that, but that's just the way I see it, and that's my definition of it. So when people have the gift of gab and they just like to talk, 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 they don't really need an audience because they just like to hear themselves talk. They don't need you for that, right? So just because you have the gift of gab does not mean that you are going to be a good person to be in front of people talking. Because really, people that have the gift of gab, in most instances, they actually waste the time of the people that's in the audience. So the people that's sitting there, and you just gab, just blah, 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 that's going on, blah, 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 right? And people are sitting there saying, man, I wish this guy would sit down and shut up. Oh, I wish that lady would just, oh, I wish she would just be quiet. But see, when you get into audience, you can't just assume because people are sitting there that they are into what you're saying. Because one thing about adults, adults are very polite, right? They can look like they're interested when they sit in the audience, shake their head, right? Like you say something the whole time. When is this guy gonna sit down? Right? When is this gonna be over? Unlike children, right? You go and talk to someone in high school. I always tell people you want to get good at speaking in public, go to a high school, right? And get some of the high school students because they have no problem saying, man, how long is this gonna take? How long you gonna be up there talking, man? I mean, they have no problem looking at the clock on you. Like, man, you've been talking for like 30 seconds, 2 minutes, man. How long are you gonna be up there talking? Well, what that would do, it'll help you get better at being concise in what you want to say, right? So if you're not concise in what you want to say, then now you're gonna be mumbling along, babbling along, and have this thing called the gift of gab, thinking that everybody want to hear you speak, right? So when you talk about your product and those services, the more polished you are with your speaking skills, the more you're going to receive as far as for people. One thing about people, one of the skills that helped me the most in all my businesses is that I'm able to speak about them, right? And I'm able to speak about them in front of people. So what it did, because a lot of people will refer you to other people and want you to speak to their groups of people and things of that nature because you're polished at what you're talking about, right? Well, if you're not polished at what you're talking about, then people don't want to stick you in front of people because here's the reality. When people stick you in front of people, you make them look good, right? So they don't want to get somebody up there to just have to give the gab. They're like, oh no, because you're gonna be really bad. Like I don't know what I'm doing. So this is why you want to focus on realizing number one, be yourself, right? And number two, now you have to do that. Now it's good if you be yourself out off the stage, and then it won't be that hard to be yourself in front of people. So people that may know me personally and had conversations with me to any capacity personally, they would say what you see here is how I am anyway. I may have a few more adjectives sometimes, I may laugh a little bit more, right? Because these are people I know. But I try to bring myself to every time I get in front of people to speak, because then I never have to try to remember being another person. Now, if you want to actually be able to get your business skills or business in a face or in the front of more people instead of your circle, then what happens is once you get good at this part, you can actually be a quote unquote preacher, and then they will invite you to a business meeting. Not because you there preaching, no, because you know how to speak effectively in public. You can be a person that speak effectively in public, then the church will say, come check us out, come talk to our church. Not because you are such a good business person, but because you are a good speaker. So now you can talk about your business or your products and or services better or much differently, and people you can relate to more people. This is why it's called public speaking. You want to be able to relate to more people with what you say and how you say it, and to people in front of you. Now, when you get good at that, again, that means you're gonna get good at not wasting time. Now, what makes it possible that you don't waste time is knowing how much time you have to speak to people, right? If you have 10 minutes to speak, it's something you can say. You can't say an hour worth of stuff, right? Now, again, speaking on a camera is a little bit different than speaking in front of people live, so to speak. Because again, I move much faster speaking in front of a camera than I do speaking in front of people, because I have the synergy or the energy of the audience, even if it's virtual. I have a different synergy in audience. What you speaking solo into a camera, you have to create the synergy within your own mind to make sure that you can be at a certain level. And then you're speaking, for me, a little bit faster than I normally would if I'm speaking to people in a public setting, right? So making sure you don't waste the time of people has a lot to do with this, right? People will ask me often, hey, I'm ready to speak to somebody, and they wrote it all out, right? They wrote exactly out everything they wrote to speak in front of people. And so they said they don't know how long, they practiced it a couple of times. And they said, well, I have 10 minutes to speak, but when I practice, I'm at 18 minutes. So here's something simple. If you write everything out. Now, I don't write everything out when I speak in front of people. What I do, I may have points, bullet points based on what I'm doing, because doing a training class for an hour is totally different than doing a speech for 5 minutes or doing something for 10 minutes, right? So since that's the case, I can't put an hour worth of material into 10 minutes because 10 minutes and 1 hour aren't the same. So it's only so much I can say in 10 minutes compared to how much I can say within an hour. So same thing with you. So when you're writing a speech, this is what I share with people. When you're writing it out, just think 3 to 1, right? So when you wrote your speech out, you have something that you want to say and you want to write it out word for word, just read it, right? Time yourself, get your cell phone or get some type of stopwatch type of situation, and then you time it and read what you have written and see how long it takes you to read it. So let's suppose you read something from front, back pages, all 4 pages, whatever it is, and it takes you 5 minutes to read it, right? In all actuality, you have a 15-minute speech. 3 to 1, right? 3 times 5 is 15. So if someone said we needed you to speak for 10 minutes, that what you have written, that 5 minutes that you read, that you said, well, it only taking me 5 minutes. When you're speaking to people in an audience, you have a lot of pauses. You may have some uh, interjections with the people in the audience. They may laugh, ha ha ha. You may crack a joke or things of that nature, right? So all those things may go on, and those are seconds, right? Those pauses are 3 seconds. And when you're reading something, you're not pausing. You're just reading word after word after word. You don't really pause after you hit a period when you're reading. You just keep on going. Well, if it takes, again, 5 minutes to read it, that means you have about 15 minutes. So if someone says, I need you to speak 10 minutes, then that means you have to write something that you can read in about 3 minutes. But I want you to still read it very slowly, naturally. Don't read it real fast like you're in a race. Read it naturally, one word after the other. And don't try to read it too slow, trying to make it be too much, so to speak, right? So just read it naturally. After you get done reading, hit the stop on the stopwatch, right? And it says 3 minutes and 2 seconds. Well, you about 9 minutes and some seconds, right? Meaning that you will be under what you need to be in order to speak at that particular situation or in that particular scenario. But if you have an hour and you can read your stuff in 3 minutes or 5 minutes, you got 45 minutes left when this thing is done, right? Now you're going to try to fill in stuff and just make up stuff and start talking about the news and how hot it is outside and how cold it is outside. Now you're going to have all these fillers in there and it can take away from what you're trying to say. So that means that you have to write something that's about 20 minutes long. So if you read it, if you write it down and you read it in 20 minutes, you have about an hour worth of material in front of people. Now, see, a lot of us don't know that. So sometimes we go over, and this has happened to me. So all these mistakes that I'm sharing with you, I made the mistakes myself. So it's not like if you made these mistakes, something's wrong with you. But sometimes you get to the end and say, oh man, I got 5 more points to make, right? You've been speaking for an hour and you talking about you got 5 more points to make. You know what that means? You need to do a prep time and trying to read and say, okay, I'm going to go over, I'm going to go over 25 points. 25 points. How long you plan on being up there? 25 points is a lot of time, right? So what ends up happening, people talking to 25 points, they get to point 8, and then they try to do, oh man, I only got 5 minutes left. Point 9, 10, 11, 12, 12. Let me give you those points. And then they always go over, right? Because they didn't prep before they actually got out there. So the more prepared you are, the better off you will be, right? Even for this show, every time I do the show, and I have a couple shows, I have to prepare before I come on here to make sure I'm saying certain things that I want to say in that particular scenario. Now, sometimes I don't say everything I want to say when I go back and check it out again. So, it's okay. I didn't say everything I wanted to say in that one, but I said enough of what I wanted to say based on the prep time that I did for the show or for even if I go out in front of people and speak in front of people. So I try to make sure there's different points I want to hit while I'm out there talking in front of people. And you're going to have to do the same thing. So in your speaking, again, you're trying not to waste the time of people, right? Now, here's something you must understand, that when you're making a positive impact in the lives of other people, one thing that you are doing is bringing a message. That's what you are. See, a lot of times people don't know that I'm there to deliver a message. That's what you're there to do. You're there to deliver a message to people. And the better you get at delivering a message to people, then you realize that you are a delivery person, right? And let's suppose you had mail coming to your house, and the mail person we call a delivery person, right? You don't mind seeing them. Hey, Mr. Mailman, Mr. Mail Lady, right? You don't mind seeing these people, but what you want is the package. You want it. You want the box or the envelope. You want that. Yeah, they're important, but what's more important to you is that envelope, that box. Well, when you speak in front of people, what's more important is your message. Your message is more important. Now, the messenger, you are a messenger, and the messenger is never bigger than the message. If you want to make a positive impact in the lives of other people. Now, if you don't want to make a positive impact in the lives of other people, the messenger is going to always try to be bigger than the message. So you must realize you're trying to make a positive impact in the lives of other people, right? You're trying to actually be an effective speaker. Then that means you must not allow you to be bigger than the message, but you must allow the message to always be bigger than you. This is how you're going to make a positive impact in the lives of people. Because when people leave your presence, what we want them to get, we want them to get the message and take that home. Because the truth of the matter is, the message can do more for them than you can. The message can go along with them more than you can. The message can go throughout their whole life, but you won't. So that's why you want to give more attention to the message so that people can take the message away along with them so they can do something big in their life, right? Because the message can do something big in their life because then hopefully the message has done something big in your life. And always remember, the messenger is not bigger than the message. In other words, the message is always, always, always bigger than the messenger. And once you understand that, now you can kind of see it takes pressure off you, right? Now you're not worried about everybody looking at me because everybody is still looking at you, but now they get to take the message away with them because that's what we want them to remember. We want them to remember the 2 steps to get their health together. We want them to remember the 3 steps to go to college. We want them to remember the 4th step to be a better parent. Whatever your message was about, we want them to remember that because we're just a delivery person. Right now, I am just a delivery person. I am just bringing the package, right? That's all I'm doing. You are going to take the package with you. You're not going to take me with you. You're going to take the information that I share with you because that can help you where you are, even though you and I may never meet, right? I may not be with you, right? But then what I share with you can be with you. And so that means that the message can do some things for you that I can't. And that's hard for a lot of people because a lot of times people that when they are very comfortable at speaking in front of people in a public speaking setting, what happened is they want it all about them. It's all about me, 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 me. And hey, if that's what your style is, hey, it is what it is. But if you want to impact the people in the audience, because guess what they're thinking about? Me, 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 right? And that's what the message is to help them with. Help them with themselves. This is how you make a positive impact in the lives of people by getting them information or sharing with them information to help them be better people or help them get out of a negative situation and be more positive or help them deal with a negative situation more positively. This is what you're trying to do. You're not trying to make it about yourself. Now you may have to add your credentials. You might have to. I had to do that with you when I started. That I've done this before and I've done this for so many years, just to let you know that I do have credentials in this space, right? Well, after that, there's no need to talk about my credentials anymore. Now we got to talk because you're thinking about yourself. How can I be a better public speaker? I want to get my best business off the ground. I might want to get some funding for my business. I might want to do a different thing, get my business into another school or another company, get another contract. I might want to do some things with the government with my business, right? Well, I need to get better at speaking in public about my business. Now, I'm not, again, some people have the fear of speaking, and some people may have a speech impediment, right? And that's not what I'm referring to here, a speech impediment. Then you have to go get help with that, right? Medical help with that. But a fear of public speaking, you just need to know the tips and realize one of the things is the message is bigger than the messenger. I am just a messenger. I am here to deliver a message, right? And that message is bigger than me because I've got many packages from the mailman and the mail lady and people like that, the delivery people. And they nice people. I say, hey, all right, all right, all right, you have a good day. And boy, when I get that box or whatever I'm getting, I'm focused on my package. I want to make sure everything I order is in that box, or in that envelope, right? Where's my check, right? Whatever it may be, right? So I want to make sure those things are there because of the fact that that's what's important to me. That mail person is important. I'm so glad they came. I'm so glad that they delivered that message or that package to me. Well, that's how people should look at you and I. I'm so glad you showed up to deliver me that message, right? Ooh, I can't wait to open this package up. I can't wait to try this at home. I can't wait to try this in my parenting. I can't wait to try this in my weight loss. I can't wait to try this in my finances, right? Whatever you actually are sharing. Ooh, my next check, I'm gonna try what you told me. I can't wait. Now, yeah, they thankful that the messenger came in, but then at the same time, they're more appreciative for the message that you have. Again, we want people to remember the message more than they remember us. And that's kind of hard if you got an ego problem. See, if you got an ego situation going on, you want everybody to say, you, the greatest you the best you. I couldn't, it's all about you. No, but see, when your ego is in check, you want people to win with the information that you share with them. I want you to win with the information I'm sharing with you in this series and all my shows. Regardless of what the topic is I'm speaking of, I want you to win with that. I want you to be able to take notes with that. I want you to be able to use that immediately, like today or tomorrow or the next time you speak. I want you to say, okay, I'm going to be myself up there, right? Now, let me clarify something. Now, if you're rude, obnoxious, uh, person of bad taste and bad character, being yourself, you might need to improve yourself before you try to be yourself. Because being in front of people does not give you a license to be rude to people. It does not give you a license to downgrade people or degrade people. It does not give you a license to, just be negative towards people. Just because you got the mic and just because you have the stage, I don't care what type of setting you're in, you do not have the right to try to make people look bad and feel bad and talk about who they are as people. I don't care what your title is and where you speak. You don't have that right, right? Because they're giving you something valuable, which is their time. And you degrading people, making people feel bad, making people look bad, that's not making it worth their time. They didn't have to come there to be degraded. Most people already feel pretty bad about themselves. They don't need your help, right? Your job is to help them feel better about themselves, even if they have done some bad things with their life. This is how you help people. The message, the message is bigger than you. But when you think that because you're rude and think that you can talk to people any type of way because you made $5 or you had a little success in something, you think you can just be rude to people and call them names and call them idiots and call them stupid. You think that you have the license to do that just because you have the mic? No, you dead wrong. And you know what? Nobody should listen to you. Nobody should be in the audience with you. I don't care if you are saying some good stuff. Keep this in mind. A broken clock is right twice a day, but the other 23 hours and 58 minutes is dead wrong. And see, when you start degrading people and making people look bad and feel bad, you are doing them wrong. And those people, even though you say, I got some truth, I'm telling people how to be a millionaire. I'm telling people how to do these things. Yeah, you may be telling them how to do those things, but you're still doing them wrong by degrading them. So having a mic and being in front of people does not give you the right or the privilege to make people feel less than a human being and a person. Again, you are there to deliver a message and you're there to be effective and you dare to make a positive impact in the lives of the people that hear you and see you. You don't know that you might be in the process of saving someone's life. You don't know that somebody might be saying that this is the last day I was going to try to live. And then you out there degrading them, make them feel bad. So they just say, it's a good idea. I guess I should, call it the end. So you don't know where people are when you're speaking to them. And when you're calling them idiots and stupid and dummies and all these different things, you make people feel worse than they were when they took out and gave you an hour or 15 minutes or 2 hours of their life and they gave it to you. And this is what you did. You trashed it, right? So we want to make a positive impact in the lives of people. And in order for us to do that, we have to make sure that we are positive and get them information that can help them be more positive, right? But again, regardless of what your setting is, whether it's in a church or in a business setting or at the company block club or whatever, right? You still want to be as positive as you can to help people walk away with something good and say, it was worth my time listening to you. So before I close out, let me go ahead and promote this guy one more time. Again, if you want to be promoted on the show, you can get with me at fullerpurposemedia@gmail.com. That's fullerpurposemedia@gmail.com. And then we can talk about, see if what you do fit my show and what my show does fit you and your product and services. So again, Mr. Emmett Farmer is who I'm promoting tonight. And are you 65 and older or know someone who is in need of Medicare assistance? Mr. Emmett Farmer is a licensed life and health insurance producer and an independent insurance broker. He can be reached at 773-908-9425 or efarmer2, the number 2, efarmer2 at ameritech.net. Again, Mr. Emmett Farmer specializes in Medicare plans for seniors 65 and older. Also, if you are disabled and have Medicare, he can help you as well. He is licensed in the state of Illinois, Texas, and in the process of being licensed in many other states across the country. If you are 65 and older, or if you will become 65 within the next 6 to 12 months, please contact Mr. Emmett Farm to learn more about your available options. Again, for more information, contact Mr. Emmett Farmer at 773-908-9425. That's 773-908-9425. Or efarmer2, EFARMER2, the number 2, at ameritech.net, efarmer2 at ameritech.net. And you will get a free consultation by mentioning that you have heard about Mr. Emmett Farmer and his business and his services here on the Greater You Show with the host, Dr. Anthony L. Gantt, here on IntellectualRadio.com and iHeartStation. We're the station that feeds your brain. So you have heard about him. So give him a call or give him an email so he can help you. Let's do a quick recap to close out today. So again, we learned about obviously what glossophobia is, the fear of speaking in public, right? We also learned that it's okay to be yourself, right? We also learned that nervousness, when you have nervousness, that's a good sign. That means you want to do a good job. And that's what you should do. You should want to do a good job because speaking in public is speaking to people. And every person that's listening to you is listening to you one person at a time. And just keep that in mind. You're just kind of, instead of you saying what you have to say to 50 different people 50 times, you can say it one time to 50 people. And you can get a different impact and different effect. Another thing we want to realize that when we're speaking in front of people, we want to be effective and we want to make a positive impact in the lives of the people that have heard us or listening to us when all eyes are on us. We're there to deliver a message, right? The message is always bigger than the messenger. You are a messenger. Your job is just to deliver a message that can help people with their lives because they're giving you something more valuable that you can't give them back, which is their time. So we want to make sure when we give them this information that they can say it was worth my time. So enough of that on this show. I do appreciate you looking at it and keep in mind that great business people aren't born great. They are made great by having great business skills. And I'll see you next time.